Good morning. How are you? I have already taken Frankie out for a run. There's quite a breeze going on, but it's hot and humid, so it's kind of pushing the heat and the humidity right at you. I wasn't sure if I liked it or if I didn't like it, so it was strange weather day, but that's okay. I'll tell you why. We're alive. More than I can say for the poor man at that rally. The rally. I just keep, I don't know, I'm stunned. I was alive when the attack on Reagan happened. And back then there wasn't the internet, and the reporting was so much different then. Back then it was say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean. And it was, you give the how, when, what, where with no opinion. You weren't supposed to. You were supposed to report the news, not give your opinion and your tone and your judgment and your click. And I'm just stunned at how there seems to be no holds barred out in the world. It's interesting because I like to protect myself from the outside world. I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do if I didn't. I wouldn't be able to have the amount of love and forgiveness and peace that I do if I expose myself to news and the way the world has been changing. I wouldn't be able to. I just I think I was watching something on History Channel, and my spouse came in and said, turn on channel blah blah blah, and I thought, oh, okay, well, thank you. Always nice when there's a friendly tone in the house, right? But I also knew to check right away, so I checked right away and was stunned. I guess it had just happened. You know, I can't, on one hand, I'm surprised it took so long for something awful to happen. I'm sorry, I'm talking so just sometimes I share emotions on here that I haven't even processed yet myself. I took several days to try to work through this and tried to keep track of how changes were happening with the investigation. And it's funny because it's not funny. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating because as a child, I was a list maker. As a child, I was a caretaker. As a child, I was a damage control person. I gotta put on some makeup while I chit chat because otherwise I think I'm gonna have too many emotions. And I do have some work I need to do, and some Zoom meetings, not sessions with clients today, thank goodness. I started taking Mondays off to catch up on paperwork, and sometimes I have to pick up where my biller, I call her my administrator, kind of doesn't want to do something, so and there's that. She works hard, but I like to sometimes I just want to be so rich that I can say hire an assistant to do those little jobs you don't want to do, you know, because I don't want to do them at all. Jeez, I'm a terrible person when it comes to self-discipline. The whole what do I want to say, the whole numbers game is just something it's such a struggle for me that I've just gotten to where I don't even want to try. This is tears, so I'm gonna spray since my face is dry. I bought it for driving. So I wouldn't have to stop and do tears for long drives, but it sprays too hard. So anyway, I was listening to the Fox channel and the CNN channel to try to get news on what was going on, and they were doing an incredible job on telling on themselves about how they've been reporting in the past, and telling on each other about how I forgot a ponytail holder. I'll have to put a couple in here. I have plenty. I could have a couple in every room. So the one thing they weren't reporting a lot on were the facts. And one of the things, oh my God, it just gave me a headache, was they could not figure out the distance between where President Trump was standing and where the shooter's position was. Now, I'm not talking politics here at all. So please forgive me if I say something that sounds political, because that's not where I'm trying to go with this. I'm talking about, this is only the second time in my generation, in 62 years, that something like this happens. There's murders all over the streets, but everybody knows if you try to assassinate someone famous, or especially a president of the United States of America, who is a central person on the world platform, on the world, international world platform, that person, these people are our ears, nose, and mouth, smelling out stuff to protect us, right? I don't know. So the one thing they could not get right was the distance between the shooter and the stage, the podium. Because I was thinking a certain kind of rifle could shoot, they were saying 500 yards. I was thinking that had to be a professional, someone who's practiced, someone who's been in that position before, right there, knew the wind, the humidity, any kind of distractions, to be able to make that shot, an 8-inch by 6-inch shot, that far. on a hot ass metal roof, because I bet the roof was metal. Or even if it was tar, that's a hot roof. But it looked like a metal building to me. Excuse me for being upset. Here's the deal. I am a fact finder. That's how I help my clients. That's how I have survived my own life, even as much as I've messed it up off and on. I'm a fact finder. So that's how I'm able to get to what's really at the core of an issue, right? So it's against my nature to just nod and smile. I'm not a nod and smiler. If I can nod and smile, it means I am not engaged. It means I don't care. And honestly, I care about everyone and everything to my detriment. Especially, I care about if I'm being lied to. Or, oopsie, or if someone says, you know what, I like this makeup, honestly, but this is a pain in the arse. It is now, I'm going to quit messing with it. I don't trust it. Never did. It is going in the trash. That's it. I'll just have to do it like we used to do CoverGirl back before we had fancy pumps. Anybody remember that? They come out with swabs or whatever they call them. And they came out with just don't shake it because it'll get up here. I have a habit of shaking things. So anyway, 500 yards. And I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to find out who this person is. Maybe who paid them to do it. I mean, because, very interesting. So, number one, also, it took them hours to even report on the other victims. So as they were coming out with that, it's like, dude, this guy, So why wait so long to tell about the other victims? Back in the old days, it would have been one of the first things that was reported was not only was there an attempt on the 43rd president, 43rd, right? Oh my God, I'm showing my ignorance. President's life, but there were 2 other injured people, and sadly, one has died. Why wasn't that said right in? It didn't take an investigator to find out the screaming of his family and the blood and the brain matter. Forgive me for being gross. There's reporting just has gotten so sad. So sad. And then I had a neighbor who I love dearly, but we have some differences when it comes to worldview. They're young. What can I say? So, for instance, one day I said something like, well, one of the things the pandemic taught people is things that old people grew up, the older generations, farm people grew up was with, like the pandemic happened, and then on top of that, we had a 5 or 6 day no electricity because of a storm that came through. And we've helped other people. Our neighborhood has helped other people who have had trees fall, and they've needed help through storms and didn't have food and water and clothes or anything. And so a comment I said was something like, so it's taught us to, always be prepared, be ready, have some, be, some food and water and storage. So it's a good reminder for everyone. And this neighbor says, "Oh, so you're a prepper." And it was like, how did that sentence even come up in this conversation? And so when the news came out later in the day, out in the yard, and this neighbor is jogging by and says, "Well, this is a big day in history. Someone tried to assassinate the president." And I was just like, yeah, it's stunning. I don't know, it just, everybody has their way of dealing with stress. And so I try not to take things like that too seriously, but I can say that there are people who really believe that other people who are prepared are preppers or conspiracy theorists. And it's kind of like, with everything that's happened, a lot of the people that were called conspiracy theorists who were correct still haven't gotten a pass. Go figure. When I was a kid, this is how I think a lot of conspiracy theorist people, or people who are open-minded to nuances in facts and figures, start being looked at as weird, right? When I was a kid, there was usually lies and conniving going on to protect drinking or relationships or moods. I'm not in a bad mood, right? That'll mess with your head. Or I wasn't drunk that day. It was like, you drunk every day, right? So that little brain starts saying, am I going to dummy down and think, oh, okay? Or am I going to go, how can I prove I'm not crazy? And then I start thinking, check, then this happened, check. Okay, I'm not crazy. People lie. So then I start being hypervigilant. I start looking at the muscles, the micro expressions, the smells, the tones. Oh, those other details. When somebody leaves out a detail, my spidey senses go up. When someone said that shooter was 500 yards away in the beginning, I was like, 500 yards? The reason why is because, not because I'm a conspiracy theorist, this is because I'm not a sharpshooter, but I'm good. I've had lots of practice. I've shot so many guns. I'm not an expert. I can't remember the names of all of them, but I remember I like foosball, air hockey. I like air hockey. I like shooting, and I like archery, and I like I'm not a pro. I don't do any of them long enough. I don't own my own equipment. But I find it exciting. I don't know why. Just like motorcycle riding. I did own my own motorcycles throughout my life. There are certain things that I know a little bit about. Matter of fact, I used to have to qualify to get certain points every year for years. They only quit doing that recently because, well, they decided they didn't have enough ammo for everybody who's in for over so many years, I guess. I don't know. So 500 yards, and I was just thinking, ooh, all the different options on who and what and where this could have come from, right? Small town, Northeast, 500 yards, hot sunny day, big crowd, Trump. You put all that together. What are the different options on who, where, when, and why this could happen? So I'm trying to articulate that, right? But the news just keeps putting fuel on the fire and all this vitriol, right? And then they start, covering themselves up. Like, well, when you have this much venom in how you report the news, pointing the finger at the different news channels, everyday people are going to get wound up and excited and fearful and want to take him out. And then they show all these clips where all these people have actually said, and I didn't know this, were these, because I try to, if I watch a Fox News, I have to watch a CNN just to get a balanced, or try. Where all these clips where people on CNN channels and shows and different Democrats who have actually said he needs to be taken out. I was shocked and stunned, and I thought, oh my God. I know some of the crazy things people have said about that man over the years, but I didn't pay much attention to it because I get it. But I don't have those strong opinions about his demeanor, his personality, because I grew up rough and hard. Some people say rough and tumble. It wasn't rough and tumble. It was rough and hard. So growing up with factory workers, bikers, railroaders, farmers, and a lot of drunks. High percentage of drinking in those people. They believed in hard work, no BS, and protecting their own, and honor, sort of like an honor among thieves. All the farmers would help each other, whether they liked each other or their wife cheated with your brother or whatever. When the chips were down, farmers helped farmers because they had the right tools, the right equipment, the right knowledge. Bikers, same thing. So you get my drift. So with him, it was like, as a military person, I was kept abreast of some things that were happening as a result of his leadership. And I was like, I felt strong and proud of America. in a way that I felt when I was a little girl and I was lost, and a biker picked me up, said, "Get on the back, I'll take you home, or I'll make sure you're all right." And he did. Small town, I was lucky maybe, but I ended up being friends with the bikers. They thought I was an adorable little girl, and they took me places and protected me. I got to go to parties, and I was protected from the bad stuff for a long time. And as I found out some of the other stuff as I matured and grew up, I started to distance myself over time. The only time I was around weak people or ill people is in a nursing home or mental health institution, or bottom drunks. So I have taken care of old people. I have sat with old people while they're dying. I have supported people who were supporting old people. And I don't mean old in age. I wish I hadn't even said that. I should say someone with the accelerated aging process or mental diseases that make them seem feeble. Also, I know history of drugs in the White House. If you dig deep, you find out, just like the doctors with Marilyn Monroe or Elvis or Prince, a lot of famous people, where there's money and fame and power, you have a lot of yes men. And President Kennedy had a lot of that going on. He had some health issues that were being covered up with medicine. And he made a lot of the mistakes that President Biden has done. President Kennedy was I was just a baby when he was killed. So that's three presidents in my lifetime that this has happened. An attack has happened, and then 2 attempts and 1 completion. I guess I'm just venting because when President Biden decided to run again, I was confused, because where I come from, you protect your own, and you don't put them on a world stage where they could be hurt, humiliated, or be the cause of harm to others. And I just thought that he would have helped pick out someone who could have supported the politics that he runs on and other people really appreciate. I can understand why someone who's as vulnerable as he is, looking at his cadence, how he walks and moves his body or doesn't move his body, there are clear signs of health issues. And I'm just saying, as a woman, as a nurturer, as a feminine, and as someone who checks things off a list, it's like, I wouldn't put my spouse on the world stage to protect the United States of America and its assets and its investments and its interests. I pray for him to be safe. Protected. To me, I've had elderly people in my family, and if my family tried to pull a stunt like that, forgive me for being so bold. we would probably be in court over elder abuse. Just saying. Because I do have a self-righteous indignation. I do have a strong mama bear streak. It's not about politics at this point with President Biden. It's about his health and how does he go from this personality to this personality. And I think it's much like President Kennedy. He would go from this, very similar, to this. I'm going to try to find that documentary and share it with you so you can see what I'm saying. A lot of similarities. As far as President Trump goes, the stunning freakish accident that he would turn his head at just the moment a bullet whizzes by. And that is not, I don't care who you are, that is not a God thing. That's a science thing. That's a science thing. That's a universe, galactical chaos theory thing. Because if it were a God thing, that man who died would have lived. Because for all rights, for all the evidence that has been brought up about that man, he would not have been taken away from his family. And the other two people who were hurt. And how were there only 3 other people hurt? So 4 people got hurt. In that crowd. So they were confused on how many yards this shooter was from the podium. They were confused about how many shots were fired. And the biggest thing is, in my town, my hometown of Galesburg, Illinois, this is what I'm thinking. We have a town called Knoxville, and we have a fairgrounds out there, and they have certain buildings there. And this is before they showed a map of the buildings in that area. My God, there's less buildings in that area than there are in I think Knoxville has a population of 1,200 people. They have more outbuildings. They have a fair and demolition derbies and contests and competitions out there. They have more buildings. There's no reason there shouldn't have been a shooter on every single building. If I were going to have a function there, if Taylor Swift was having a concert, they would have security, I would assume, somebody on every single building, just because it's a great way to get access to what's going on the ground. Too many things weren't lining up. And then I could not sleep. I've been wrestling with this for 2 nights. First night, I was just up. And I knew no new information was going to come up, so why bother? But I think I'm just stunned because of this whole Biden-Trump drama. My gosh. It's just like for the 4 years that man was in office, and then the 4 years this man has been in office, and then to think about the next 4 years, it's just kind of like, come on, give us a break. The Constitution has made the support of this country so complicated that sometimes it's not very supportive. It's a good idea, and I'm just finally, after all these years, trying to understand it a little better. A matter of fact, there's a documentary on the History Channel that you could watch. It's about Benjamin Franklin. I think it's at least 2 episodes, might be 3. But wow, that's a good place to start if you're not a big history buff. Oops. Anyway, so I was like, dang, they're saying 500 yards? 500 yards. I just couldn't get that out of my head. 500 yards. So you're telling me, now 2-3 days later, right? You're telling me none of those reporters, none of those cameramen, none of the people who helped with transportation of these reports, none of them were able to say, it's about a football field. You ever been to a football field? You know how many yards are in a football field? All you have to do is Google it. 500 yards. Oh, I gotta order some more of this lipstick. 500 yards. If I weren't doing this on my phone, I would Google it right now. But I think a football field is 100 to 150 yards. At the most. I think it's 100 yards. 150. I don't know. I'm going to Google it. Sorry. I don't have a fancy camera. I just do this. Oh my God, I'm going on and on and on about this, and I don't blame you for not. But I want you to know, this is something where, as a kid, you're either a victim or a little fighter, or you get caught in between, and that's a hard plot. That's a hard place, right? Codependency can be really deeply ingrained. And I think that's where a lot of us have to kind of take an inventory of how much we've grown, how much control we have over any situation, if we have any at all, to try to get our nerves under control. Where is my water? Yeah, we need control over our nerves. Over our day, because I've got stuff to do. I've got paperwork to do. I've got calls to make, bills to pay. I'm hoping my administrator doesn't want to quit. She's kind of doesn't want to do certain things, and I'm worried about that because I really like her and I love her work. She's the most dependable biller I have ever had. I really respect her. But I think she's got such a big responsibility with family, and I think their business grew faster than yeah, if you're gonna do it this way, you really do have to wipe it off in between each time you move it, because otherwise you're taking a chance on leaving a line on your face somewhere. And then I like to wipe the brush off and then squeeze it. I forget to do that a lot, but I like this little brush for my eyebrows. I have to pay attention to that. I'm just saying, and then they're saying, well, how could this happen? This happened when they were finally saying, now this goes back to being a kid and hearing these stories, you know, being a victim and going, oh, okay. Or being stunned and being in the freeze, or being a fighter, a warrior, and being like, no, that's not what I saw. And then poof, that's what you get. That's what I got. Don't ask questions. Don't open your mouth. Don't make facial expressions. You have to pretend. And that's where a lot of that anger came up in me, and being like, if you don't like the heat in my kitchen, get out of my kitchen kind of thing. So when they're saying, oh, this investigation could take days, weeks, or months, when they were asking about how an incident like this could have happened, because sorry, it's easy math. If you've ever had to protect yourself on a fairly consistent basis, whether it was in the military or at home or in your neighborhood, you don't have to be special forces to know how this went down wrong. And so when that guy said, and I think that was a trigger for me, it could take days, weeks, or months to figure this out. I'm like, dude, I got it figured out right now. You want my checklist? You know, and I don't even care about politics. Just like when I was a kid, I didn't care who was drunk. I didn't care who was doing who. I didn't care about any of that stuff. I cared about being lied to. I cared about being manipulated. That's why I don't like the news. That's why I don't like watching this kind of stuff. It's like, but how do you find out what's going on in your world so you can be prepared? I mean, I can't imagine I'm not, there was even someone on, now, I'm stunned. I have to say this out loud. There was someone on the, I watched probably over the last couple days since it happened, 5 on the Fox channel and 5 on the CNN channels. I'm trying to get different points of view. And that's where it was like, oh my gosh, wow. Someone said on the CNN channels, when the president went down, he didn't have any blood on his ear. But when he came up, there was blood on it. His Secret Service people may have injured him when they took him down to protect him. And the way she said it was not very feminine, as far as grace goes. She said it in the overly feminine, which would take you into the catty spectrum, where any mental health, any personality trait is on a spectrum from 0 to 10, right? And this was like, whoa, because what she was saying then would have been, if she were on the other side, a conspiracy theorist. The people on the Fox channels, they seem to be pointed out as conspiracy theories a lot. The people on the CNN being pointed at from the Fox side are more bitter and mean and whatever. And so I was like, oh my God, that's what they're talking about. Because had this all been reversed, if someone on the... I have my left and right mixed up. I think it's because I'm on a camera. I don't know. Dyslexia or something. Okay, people on the right, because I keep pointing to CNN over here, and it's because CNN stuff is red and Fox stuff is blue. But isn't Democrat blue and Republican supposed to be red? Shows you how out of the loop I am. Anyway, that would have been sort of a conspiracy theory. They said they didn't think he was shot. How could that be? It could have been glass off of a protective shield breaking. And insinuated they did it themselves to make it look like that. And I was thinking, dang, if someone put on a show like that on purpose... Now, when I was a kid, when there'd be some big scandal going on and the actors were good actors and they pulled it off for a while until it was too obvious, it was like, damn, well done. Ha! Wow. Stunning. And she even went to say something about, it doesn't take, something about being an actor on Apprentice, running that show, that it wasn't just about business, it was also about being an actor, I guess. I don't know, but I was just like, oh. And then there's these poor people at home sitting on their armchair watching the news like me, wanting to know what happened. What happened? You cannot tell me that some old woman like me would have made sure there was someone on that roof line, because it's easy freaking math. And these professionals didn't put someone on that roof. So I smell something. And it's funny because my brain hasn't had to think about a real world scenario in a while, because I've had to protect myself from it. When the pullout from Afghanistan happened and the military had to keep their mouth shut and nobody was fired except someone who was trying to say, who tried to be a whistleblower, he got fired. He got kicked out of the military. And as a military person, my gut got sick. I couldn't believe how injustice, how we were supposed to be told, shut up, nod and smile, you salute. Had to salute someone who made a military blunder that killed some of our people, basically right on camera. Left all of our military equipment behind and not be able to say anything. And then shortly after that, the COVID thing started going down and the military had to start taking those shots. I already had my 20 in, and I had my retirement papers in, but because the base I was at as a first sergeant was going through so many changes, I agreed to stay on another year, to not retire yet, to wait to put in my papers, and found out my papers had already gone through. So they had to go through a lot of work to pull all my paperwork back. They were like, okay, we're going to do this. We're so glad. And then when they came out and said, you have to take this shot, and I was going through some things at home that were getting stressful, and my nerves were just getting shot with all the work I was putting in. As I was in the Air National Guard then for 21 years. And I didn't have any more to offer, and I said, you know what? I'm sorry, I have to do my retirement paperwork again. Ooh, they were mad. I said, well, we're not going to go through this again, because that was a lot of paperwork. They had to get a lot of people involved to pull back my retirement paperwork. I said, well, with everything going on, you can bet I'm not changing my mind. By the time I finally got out of there, I was ready to get out. Talking about getting old and bitter. I have a bunch of fallout from what I was trying to do with that black eyeshadow to create an eyeliner with that big fat brush. It was an experiment. That's all right. It was an experiment. And you know what? With everything that's been going on the last few days, the last few years, I don't care. Matter of fact, here's another story for you. When Obama was running, President Obama was running, I was at a fighter jet base, and a lot of tree huggers out there that I didn't relate to. So I had this friend who was, oh my gosh, she was such a hick. She was more of a hick than I was. I mean, you couldn't tell I was a hick by looking at me. You could tell she was a hick by talking to her for 5 seconds. I thought she was such a hoot. Really enjoyed her. Till we went to a mall one day, and she and I were talking about shoes and stuff, and then all of a sudden, out of, I don't know where, I don't remember all the details, she said something about the election that was coming up, and said something horrible about what the Bible says about a black president. And I was like, oh my God, if the Bible says that, I need to go look that up, because I'm not, oh my God. I mean, I was like that. I just remember being stumped. And then she said something about something horrible about someone should just save our country and take Obama out. And I was like, oh my God. I said, I can't be around you. I had to say this in the mall, because I kept telling her, please don't talk about this Bible. And I didn't understand it. I said, but I want to look that up at some point, because I've read the Bible a couple times, and I know there's some weird stuff in it that I don't agree with. There's some stuff that doesn't quite make sense, but there are some wonderful parables and some stories that are very helpful. So, but I kept trying to have like a conversation with her, and she was just like spun, and she got locked in on this. And I had already warned her, if you continue talking like this, I have to walk away. I'm in the military. I have to respect my president. That is my commander in chief. I can't talk behind his back. That's treason. And that used to be true. Pretty sure. I lost a friend that day. I lost someone that I cared deeply about that day. I can't be around hate. I don't mind being around conspiracy theorists though. Because I like going down the checklist. I like figuring things out. I like jigsaw puzzles are boring to me. Any game that I've played, I play Scrabble, with I don't know, a computer generated AI person, or maybe there is another person on the other end, but we don't chat or anything. But when I'm playing like car races or Gardenscapes or this King thing where I get bored with it at some point, because I can tell where they overjump levels. And it's like, okay, you just went from, okay, this is fun, or this is a little challenging, to the, oh, now it's a little more challenging, to what the hell, right? So I'm pretty good at figuring out certain things. I'm not smart in everything, but I'm pretty smart in some areas, especially with these nuances that are happening. And it's not conspiracy theory if all the facts are there, or you can tell there's obvious facts not there. So I'm curious now. So I'm listening. I have my ear up here. It's not to the ground, because people are just irritating me now, and I have work to do. Oh, I guess I should put some mascara on. I feel so much better. Thank you for letting me unwind. And if you didn't listen to this whole thing, if you had it playing in the background, I'm just say hello. Dog Meow Village. I think I feel better now, though. I'm just heartbroken that things have gotten to where they're at, politically, emotionally. You know, the things that people call a protest versus a riot. And it's kind of like, wait a minute. I know what a riot looks like, and I know what a protest, the broad spectrum of what a protest can look like. I know what that's where that jump. It's like, it's a clear jump, right? And I know what it's like to not have police protection. I know what it's like to not have my biker friends' protection. I would never want to feel like I didn't have any protection. Even at my age, I love knowing I have police that live in my area, firemen that live in my area. I have a couple bikers that live in my area, old ones. They're not the young ones. And I'm friends with people in recovery. I feel protected. I feel like if I needed someone, I'd have someone to help me out. Some people don't have that. And it's a horrible place to be. I cannot imagine saying defund the police. I mean, there are certain words that just I can't even imagine coming out of my mouth. I just can't. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's happened, and I don't know what's going to change it. I wish there were a strong candidate for both sides that people actually had to choose from. I can tell you that there were a few on the Republican stage that I thought, ooh, there's a tasty morsel, that might work. And then all of a sudden they were gone. It's like, what happened to them? What happened to them? They're just gone. Nobody was interested in them enough for the primaries. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. There's so much I don't understand. What I do understand is my gut. I do understand that. Oh my goodness. You see me in a house dress. It's so hot and humid outside that I may have to go in and out of the backyard, so I want to be ready. And then later, after my paperwork, doing a couple things outside, I am going to take a nice long hot bath, and I think I'm going to order myself a pizza. Yep. Oh, is someone I like Murphy's? Marco's? Yeah. So, I know the world is watching us, and that's what a lot of people forget. When they want here's what a lot of people forget. And this is one of the things that people who grew up in an alcoholic home or dysfunctional home, a dangerous home, they learn how to keep secrets. They even keep secrets from themselves. They turn into a dumb blonde, or they get mental health issues themselves that are so distracting they can't think of anything else but themselves. There are some people who are secret keepers. They use their energy to keep secrets and make the family look better than it is, healthier than it is, right? And at this point, for people to not understand that the United States of America is on this planet, is center stage. Isn't that interesting? It's like if you're an actor and you're on stage with a lot of other actors, we all know who's going to stand center stage out of that group, right? Come here, puppy. America is center stage. Everyone is watching us. The good, the bad, and the evil. Hi, puppy. He says this is going on way too long. Oh my God, we're into an hour. I feel like I've just gotten a therapy session, so thank you. Thank you so much. I hope somebody says hello and offers some just a ditto, or, oh, I've been there, done that. I've been feeling the same way, or nope, I'm going to stay in denial because it's the only way I can live, which I don't blame anybody. I hear you. But our country, like any company on the stock exchange, in your town, if the CEO, if the owner looks weak, someone knows they can go in and buy up the company easier, because that owner isn't going to make good decisions. They're going to go, oh, okay, I'll take that offer. Okay, so that's part of the math. That's the human condition. So we have to understand that every day our country is seen as weak. We're vulnerable. And then that's where the conspiracy theorist people, they're over here digging protective shelters and stocking up food supplies and moving out to the mountains, and I don't know. I wouldn't feel safe in the mountains. I'd feel vulnerable in the mountains or out in the forest. I feel safer in a community where we can help each other. We'll see. At my age, I guess I'm lucky to be alive and as healthy as I am. So that's where I'm at. Now, for the rest of today, I'm going to put myself in denial so I can get some things done. Matter of fact, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my subscriptions and some apps, and I'm going to clear those out as well. I'm almost caught up on my notes for work. I'm going to do that. I've got a couple purchases I need to make. Now that I have, my knee is feeling a little bit better, I need to go to the chiropractor. Probably not today, but by next weekend. But I'm going to get a pair of really good walking shoes. I have some of these flip-flops. These are nice. I have Birkenstocks all day long. But the sole is hard. And so I'd like to get some Birkenstocks with softer feet, and that's what this feels like. But Uggs are so comfortable, it's just too hot. And their tennis shoes, walking shoes, don't have good reviews. So I think I'm gonna get a pair of Keens. I wish I could go try on a pair, but this town is kind of small, and I don't know where I'd even find a pair in this town. That's all I got. I think I'm talked out. Now I'm anxious to get to work. Okay, I love y'all. I love you all. And I just thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate any thumbs up to let me know that you stopped by, or a word or two in the comments section. I don't care if you subscribe. That isn't why I'm here. I'm here for us to support each other, share little stories, express ourselves, get some mental health going. This is not about building business for me. It's about helping normalize codependency traits, childhood trauma. And I've shared this with you today because there are some of us with our past that this is how we process stuff. And I want you to know you're not crazy. You're not alone. And I'm here for you. So if you want to share away, and I'll look forward to talking to you later. All right. Bye for now.